All right, shooting guards. Top, well, not top. My favorite 8 shooting guards. All right, number one, I got Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's like not only my favorite shooting guard, he's my favorite player of all time. It's crazy because I hate the Lakers. I still hate the Lakers. I'm not a Laker fan by any means. But Kobe Bryant was just magical. I didn't like Kobe at all from his start of his career all the way until 2004. No, 2005 is when I started liking Kobe. And it wasn't until 2013 I realized that Kobe Bryant was my favorite player. And I realized Kobe Bryant was my favorite player just because of how much I watched his highlights on YouTube. I found myself watching Kobe Bryant on YouTube more than any other player, even Allen Iverson, because I'm a Sixers fan because of Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was my favorite player until he demanded a trade, and then I went free agent for a long period after Iverson had left, and I just didn't really consider myself having a favorite player. And then it was that 2000, was it 2000? Not five because they missed the playoffs. I think it was 2006 maybe, where the Lakers were playing against the Suns, and Kobe hit that game winner and put the Lakers up 3-1 on the Suns, the MVP Steve Nash Suns. And that was and Kobe had so much less talent, and he just showed me like how great he was, like carrying a team outside of Shaq. And I just I don't know, Kobe Bryant, he's my favorite player of all time. He made the craziest shots. He was so fun to watch. Like, he was just unstoppable. I swear, players couldn't sleep the night before when they had to play against Kobe because they knew how hard it was going to be the next night. Trying to defend that man. I mean, I don't know. He's just amazing. Number two, Michael Jordan. I mean, that's easy. I think Michael Jordan's a better player than Kobe Bryant overall. I just think Kobe Bryant could make better, more difficult, crazy shots. Kobe spent so much time in the gym practicing these unbelievable shots, whenever they came down to being needed in some regard. But when MJ, he didn't have to get to that level because of, I think, of his just the overall uniqueness in controlling the game. Michael Jordan always would control the game. He would slow it down. He'll post you up. He'll take you out of the game just by a amazing dunk. He was an amazing defender, best probably on ball defender. Well, people argue with Scotty on that one too. But Scotty, Mike, Kawhi Leonard are my favorite defenders on the ball. Those guys are just such awesome. They play such awesome defense. And MJ, 10 scoring titles. Michael made some unbelievable shots too, and he's the most clutch player. I think Michael was smart, when it came to the triangle, and then knowing when to give up the ball in the right situation. Cause I think Mike understood when to make the right pass, and sometimes I don't think Kobe did, because I think sometimes with Kobe, he would always try to win the game, and MJ would. Obviously MJ would always try to win the game too, but he could win the game by also passing. We've seen it in documentaries, but we'll learn more about Kobe too when his documentary comes. Number three, I got Allen Iverson, best pound for pound not point guard, shooting guard or player position, whatever in the NBA, because 6'4" 4 scoring titles. Who else can really say they got that? Tiny Archibald led the league in scoring and assists. That's an amazing feat. But 4 scoring titles at 6 feet tall is insane. He came out right the gate scoring, being able to drop 50 as a rookie, and then having those consecutive games of scoring 40, and then if you watch young Allen Iverson, just hopping out the gym, just dunking the ball. Iverson could dunk like crazy. If you go watch the older footage, and then Iverson was smart too. When you think about how he was getting his buckets, shooting high off the glass, Iverson had some really good layups. If anything, Kyrie Irving reminds me the most of Allen Iverson when it comes to finishing. Getting to the basket and finishing. But Kyrie Irving does have that jump shot that Allen Iverson didn't. But Iverson was a solid shooter too. He wasn't a great 3-point shooter, but he was definitely a solid shooter. I just used to not love the way Iverson's shot looked. It looked kind of funny, It was a quick release, But I don't know. Iverson's amazing. Number 4, I got Vince Carter. Go back and watch just the Raptor tape, and you would. Who wouldn't love Vince Carter? Vince Carter is like one of the funnest players to watch. I mean, he became such a great shooter later in his career, but in earlier career, he was actually a pretty good shooter back then too. But the dunking was insane. Like the dunks that Vince would do in a game is the dunks that people wouldn't even bother thinking about taking in a game. But Vince was just so confident in it that he would just embarrass you. So I mean, Vince Carter was just fun to watch. Tracy McGrady, he's one of my favorite players to watch too. He was very flashy. I like Tracy mostly when he was on Toronto and Orlando. When he got to the Rockets, I think he changed his game up a lot to try to play with Yao, and they had a greater supporting cast, so it wasn't quite the same Tracy McGrady when he got to Houston. But nonetheless, he was a fun player to watch. I mean, I remember all the T-Mac shoes from back in the day, and off the glass, All-Star game dunk. He's done that multiple times too, and I mean regular season games. And I don't know, Tracy caught bodies. He did. He was catching bodies under the paint. I mean, in the basket. Like he was just a dunking machine. It was just so fun to watch back then. And he was just so long and athletic. He jumped so high on his jump shot. His jump shot was ridiculous. Like I don't know how you could block it. The only person I seen block Tracy McGrady's jump shot was Kobe Bryant, and he technically kind of like came out of nowhere to block that. It was a very cool block. But Tracy McGrady was just so hard to stop offensively. He could really score the ball. Reggie Miller is my number 6. Reggie was fun to watch. I loved Reggie's competitiveness and his trash talking. His confidence level is through the roof. Because, I mean, you don't talk trash like that unless you're confident. And Reggie was very confident. And he was very clutch. I love Reggie. Number 7, Klay Thompson. To be honest, I root for Klay a lot. Like, I'm a huge Klay Thompson fan. I mean, I don't think there's no Steph without Klay. And, like, you got Michael and Scotty in terms of how they can complement one another. I think Klay and Steph complement one another well. Because Klay can shoot the ball definitely a lot more than he does. And he finds his spots. And he gets microwave cooking. 37 points in a quarter. 60 points at, halftime? Right? Yeah, 60 at half? Or 3/4. 60 and 3/4. Not at halftime. But he had 40, I think, at half. And I don't know, Klay Thompson just had these crazy performances. Like just seeing those performances just tell you how great of a player he is. The 14 3-pointers. I mean, yeah, he was playing with Kevin Durant. Yeah, he was playing with Steph Curry. But still, 14 3-pointers is not an easy thing to do. You can't just, or 37 points in a quarter is not an easy thing to do. So like, give Klay his credit. And my 8th favorite shooting guard is Manu Ginobili. The amazing things that dude did coming off the bench, the sacrifices that he made. He would close games. He wouldn't start games, but he closed games. And he had such great highlights. I mean, there was games where Manu was getting like 40-something points, 47 points. He'd just get hot. He had that lefty 3-pointer. The Euro step. He's the one that he's the first person I ever saw do the Euro step. And he was getting some good dunks early in his day before, his first couple seasons, he was driving hard to the basket and getting some nice dunks. Manu Ginobili was fun. That block that he had on James Harden too in the playoffs, that was always a fun moment to watch. I like Manu Ginobili, so I got him as my 8th favorite.